Welcome to this seminar about online worlds and Second Life towards the Metaverse. My name is David Orban and I'm talking to you from the University of Milan in Italy. I want to thank the Berkman Center for Internet Society for graciously granting us use of this space for the duration of the seminar. And you're all very welcome to ask questions during the presentation or after in the chat window. We are going to talk about the definitions of online worlds, what are the specific features of Second Life with regards of creativity and programmability, the economic and legal by of Second Life encourage creativity in various fields like education and learning, encouraging enterprises, both private and corporate presence. What are the criticisms towards Second Life, and how the development of several virtual worlds is going to impact the future development. A virtual world is a simulated environment within a computer, often with a three-dimensional interface which is inhabited by the users which can interact with it. Second Life is a virtual world connected with the real economy, where the creations of over 2 million residents become their own property. Second Life specifically doesn't aim to combat among users or with monsters, but it is geared towards creativity and enables translating the entertainment factor into real income generating activity. Second Life hasn't been born in a vacuum, of course. Worlds of fantasy have always existed in the human culture. The most recent source, anyway, of the concepts underlying the modern online worlds are to be found in science fiction. Specifically, Second Life gets its inspiration from the influential book by Neil Stephenson, Snow Crash, which introduces the fundamental concepts of Metaverse, a universe containing another, and Avatar, the representation of the player within the world, directly from the Sanskrit God which becomes body. The organization of the Creative Commons, founded by Lawrence Lessig, has also deeply influenced the way that Second Life organizes the legal structure which defines the interactions, social and economic, among the participants in the real world. The objective of Creative Commons is that of adapting the concepts of copyright to the needs of the modern exchanges of electronic goods, giving automatic possibility which grants more ample rights to the users than those more strictly defined by traditional copyrights terms, and the algorithmic management of these new rights is, of course, fundamental in computer-mediated environments like Second Life. Within Second Life, each participant is encouraged to become an active creator using the interactive tools based on the graphical interface and a programming language that determines the behavior of the objects under a given set of actions. This type of configuration has the consequence of encouraging free experimentation based on the participants' fantasy and creativity. To start simply modifying the look of your avatar is very easy, for example. From the point of view of the software architecture, all information is residing on the servers, including the interactions among the objects. The solid modeling simulation that defines the interaction among the objects is transferred in a synchronized manner to all the clients that are connected within a given area. Second Life as a universe is the property of Linden Labs. the creator and inventor of the world, which decides upon fundamental rules of behavior based on a terms of service contract. We will see what are the consequences of this in the part where we talk about the criticism towards Second Life. Right from the start, Linden Labs was sufficiently forward-looking to explicitly assign the property rights of all objects created by the users to the users themselves. The users leased land where they can create objects or buildings and use the local currency called Linden Dollar, which has a daily floating exchange rate with the US dollar. Actually, there are players online that speculate on the variation of the exchange rate. All of this economic activity is encouraged by Linden Labs instead of being opposed. Second Life had an impressive growth in this past year, and we can see the increase of the area of land leased, which now exceeds 250 square kilometers. When a participant pays for the land use, this actually corresponds to the rental of part or all of the server in the rack of Linden Labs co-location facilities. The consequence of this is that the increase of Second Life corresponds to physical occupation in the real world and concrete energy use. Luckily, Moore's law determines the acceleration of possible hardware densities, and it is the basis of the economies of scale that can be obtained with this specific architecture. The economic exchange that the users carry out within the world has a similar type of exponential growth. In total, more than $8 million have been extracted from the online world by the users, and today there are hundreds of people who gain part or all of their income through virtual work. There are more than 2.5 million registered participants, of which approximately 500,000 gets connected every month or two, and about 20,000 are present online simultaneously. It is important to note that the world is persistent. The time passing in the real world corresponds one-to-one to time passing in a virtual world, independently from the fact whether the user is connected or not, and events in the online world happen when we observe them or not. Based on the rules that are dictated by the terms of service contract within Second Life, a lot of online groups as communities have been formed that facilitate the interaction among the participants. Within the online world, there are all the tools that are needed to find a group that best corresponds to our interests, and this problem is not too different than the one a traditional search engine has to face. There is also a lot of advertising activity for events, groups, stores, and, well, Italians meet in an area called I Parioli, based on the famous quarter of Rome. Like it has been at the start of every other media, actually, it is very significant and promising that today there is a relatively heavy erotic use of Second Life. One of the most frequent and most easily accessible creative uses is that of personalizing one's own appearance with all the tools that are available and help making the desired changes. There are even specific contests to design the best possible expression or giving a new gesture to the avatar. Many participants use non-conventional bodies, and a fascination with this change contributes in an important manner to the attractivity of the online world and their flexibility. There are several higher educations that have open presence within life where they experiment with new possible enriching forms of courses. For example, there is a teacher that studies psychopathologies, and he brings his students within the world in a room where they can experience by themselves the type of hallucinations that people affected by those illnesses have. In the teaching of computer science as well, the direct correspondence of an algorithm with the behavior of an object in the online world can be the source of a significant increase in the efficiency of learning. Many enterprises have started to recognize the promotional opportunities as well as the organizational ones represented by Second Life. IBM, Sun Microsystems, Reuters, Sears, and others have opened communication, information, collaboration spaces, or even proper sales offices and stores for their products and services within Second Life. There are Italian initiatives as well, like virtual Italian parks that carry out consulting services and build online spaces. VIP is hosting us within Università Parioli this afternoon for our Italian session, just like Berkman Island is graciously hosting us this morning. Specifically created Università Parioli for this type of presentations. Another Italian initiative that has had a certain international echo is the virtual travel agency Synthravels, which organizes online guided tours within the virtual worlds. Not everybody can on his or her own enter and explore these worlds. The presence of a guide smoothing the experience when you start participating online helps a lot. Synthravels organizes guided tours not only within Second Life, but also within other online worlds. The political status of Second Life, just like other online worlds, is the subject of an important future collective conversation for sure. Already today there are interesting initiatives that make this a real necessity. In the United States, government representatives have visited Second Life, a state governor had an online speech, and it is to be expected that with the forthcoming presidential elections, this communication channel for political propaganda is going to be even more fully used. We see the development of real pressure groups. Today, as we will shortly see, the status of the citizens of Second Life is not at all clear beyond what the terms of service of participation define. Second Life is not the only online world. The most successful is World of Warcraft, for example, that has over 8 million active participants. But it belongs to a different group, more specifically oriented to gameplay and not creativity. There are several others, like Open Croquet, Multiverse, the Metaverse Roadmap Consortium, and the recently announced but today not yet visible ARE that are aiming to increase their visibility and user participation. As a consequence, if and when they receive progressive uptake, there will be evident the necessity of parameters of interoperability, so that one player can take his or her avatar from one world to the other, as well as the objects created and owned. Once this starts, the world that decides to interoperate with others will have a very important advantage over those which choose to live isolated. Within the online worlds, three-dimensional manipulation and navigation is a necessity. New innovative peripherals are being born that make this navigation very intuitive, just like the mouse enabled us to navigate the pi-dimensional surface of our traditional computer desktops. It will be very delicate on how we progress towards these new uses and what peripherals will receive the far acceptation. The fragmentation and reunification of the interaction paradigms is going to be a dynamic process that lasts a few level of and media coverage. There has been an excessive exposure with real risk of overexposure. A lot of the articles and the coverage insist on the marketing angle that real life represents to enterprises, corporations selling their products and services, even if in the next few months there will be a backlash against Second Life and online worlds in general, their significance will smoothly and constantly increase in the future, and progressively even people who don't enter these worlds today will find active and attractive uses. It is important to note that the legal analogies that residents of Second Life spontaneously draw between their property rights, citizen rights, identities, and what these rights are in the real world are false analogies. The legal basis of participation in Second Life is the terms of contract that everybody has to accept, and this has been unilaterally designed by Linden Labs. The company can anytime amend and change these rules, and of course all the participants are free to stop coming to Second Life, except that they have no recourse to get their properties, to get their identities, to get all the investment that they have made in making this online world as rich as it is today. I have had the opportunity of interviewing Harriet Au, the journalist dedicated to covering the ongoing activities of Second Life. According to him, the most important challenges that Second Life is facing in the next few months regard the improvements to the interface and a much better ratio of those users who become active contributors as opposed to those who stay passive social observers and passive users of the world. It will be also very important to understand how the rights that we have mentioned previously are going to change, and how Linden Labs is going to be able and face these changes. Another interesting encounter that I had in my explorations of Second Life in the preparation of this seminar was actually in a church. Online churches, they are coming, and they will need to understand how to adapt to this new reality, whether their dogma, their practices need to adapt and evolve, whether we will see a new flourishing of spirituality, and how rationalism will face the new battleground that can be fought is going to be very interesting in the next few months. What are the new directions that we will see Second Life and other online worlds evolving towards? Are we going to see the replication in a synthetic world of our existing activities, conflicts, challenges, or is it the case that we will find innovative ways of interfacing with and carrying out new activities in the online world, activities that are not possible in the real world? Similarly, as search engines, for example, have recently brought us the understanding of how different immediate access to the world's knowledge can mean. Regardless of the activities, just as it happened with other infrastructures, railways, email systems, standards and interoperability will also mean their fast or slow uptake. Of course, the complication here is that a lot of the value of the online worlds is derived from the rules of social interaction, which are much more difficult for us today to formally understand and to describe. It will be possibly a side effect of the development of online worlds that social sciences have been aiming to obtain and now potentially will reach, that of a proper formalization of their approaches. The semantic web, maybe, is not only going to smooth interactions between machines and other machines. The semantic web, as applied to online worlds, potentially is going to smooth interactions between humans and humans. This is the end of the audio part of our online seminar dedicated to online worlds and Second Life towards the Metaverse. Once again, I want to thank our hosts at the Berkman Center for Internet and Society on Berkman Island. I am David Orban, speaking from the University of Milan in Italy.